Hello, hi, my good people. How are you doing? Hope you guys are doing okay. Thank you so much, guys, for coming back to watch my videos. Thank you so much for the support. So in today's video, guys, we're going to talk about the challenges that usually and commonly are faced by the immigrants, especially the international students. So this one will be more general to immigrants, but so because we talk more on my channel about international students, so mostly the challenges might be the same. Now I will give you the challenges that I have faced, the ones that I've experienced personally firsthand, and probably from there you can see you will experience them by yourself as well, probably not. So, and I don't know whether other people who might be living here in Australia might have experienced the same things that I have experienced. Anyway, let's start. Number one. So when you're very new in Australia, and sometimes even when you've stayed here a bit longer, people tend to really discriminate you. There's discrimination, and I would say there's discrimination and racism. However, the discrimination and racism is not so loud as you would think, or as we read on the Facebook, on the internet about, let's say, countries like America. So the racism is still here and the discrimination is still here, and they will and sometimes the way the discrimination comes out is they will start telling you, oh, we don't understand your English, we don't understand what you're saying. They will people will refuse to work with you, maybe on shifts, because they say, oh, we don't understand what that person says. So to me, that's one of the challenges that I faced, and I'll give you a story. So when I was new in Australia, I remember I worked in an aged care as an agency staff, and the ladies I was given to work with, there were two ladies. So one of them sounded like she's from Europe, a country that doesn't speak English, because I could tell from her accent she was not an English speaking person. And obviously when you're an immigrant, it is very easy to tell that English is not your first language by how you pronounce the words and how you speak. So from my interaction with this lady, I would tell she's not from Australia. Probably she's from Australia, that is okay, but probably she migrated to Australia when she was grown or an adult, and therefore her English has not really changed she has not left her accent, which is obviously the same with myself. So she specifically started trolling me, and she started saying that she cannot understand what I'm saying, that I do not understand instructions, I do not understand English, she doesn't understand my English. And I was like, that's fine. Probably that's true. You don't understand me because I'm also struggling to understand you, but we can work this out, because the other lady, who was an Australian lady, she was able to understand me. But this one specific immigrant like myself was so tough on me, and she kept saying she cannot work with someone who doesn't understand English. She cannot work with someone who doesn't speak good English or pronounce words correctly. And I was like, okay, we are the same people, myself and you. We're just speaking. You can tell we are both non-English speakers. However, she did not want to understand me. So I ended up being told to go home by the boss there. So the RN in charge, they called her, they said, we are sorry, we do not need this lady because she cannot understand what she's told. She does not understand instructions, she does not even speak proper English to the clients, and it was very sad. So that story, the reason I've given you that story is just see how one person understands me, but the other person claims they cannot understand me, but still they want me out of that place because of maybe my background or maybe my color, because I could not tell exactly why they did not want me. And I was very innocent. You guys, I was very new. And most of the time when you're very new, you do not argue a lot. You do not, most of the time when you're told something, you just accept, you just agree. So for me at that point, I could not really argue. And then another time, I was working also in a disability area, and then we were also two staff, two women, myself and another lady. So the client was also a lady. She was a lady or female only she needed only assistance from female. She will not accept to have male staff. So we are this other staff is known to this client. Myself, I was from the agency again. Now I happened to use the washroom. The washroom is quite close. It's just around the house, if you know. So the living room and the washroom, they are not very far. So sometimes you will be able to hear what the people in the living room are saying when you're in the washroom. So I'm in the washroom doing my business, and then I hear this lady, this staff, telling the client that she doesn't understand how these black people who look so poor they are allowed to board a ticket and move to Australia. And the reason why she said this is because the client was watching the Maasai community in my country, Kenya, on a documentary talking about the Maasai people, and she loved it. So the client loved the documentary. She loved the way they dress, she loved the way they eat, the way they speak, and the way they dance and all that. But then for herself, what she saw poor people, unhappy people. She saw people who are so backward, and she's trying to talk about how these black people, and generalizing how we black people are very poor, and she doesn't understand why and how the government would even let us move to Australia. So when I came out of the washroom, already this conversation was in my head, and I just assumed that, okay, well, I'll not say anything because I was not here, but if she says anything that triggers me, I'll definitely ask her why she said what she said. And so as we go on, she starts talking to me, and then she gets angry at one point, and she's like, oh, you don't understand me, you're so slow, blah 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, I'm sorry, you just sent me, this is a new house to me, this is a new environment, so if you tell me go and bring a knife, you have to tell me where the knife is, because this is not my usual house, because I'm from the agency. And she got angry. She was not happy that I told her that. And so she just started speaking a lot of stuff there, saying, oh, how she doesn't like new staff, how she prefers to work with normal, regular staff. And she's very disappointed. She'll be going home very tired because she feels like she's doing everything. Anyway, I kept quiet. All this time, I didn't argue with her. I didn't even say a word. And then later, she just realized, okay, I don't know what came to her head. And she told me, I'm very sorry. I've been mistreating you. I've been talking. I know you had our conversation earlier, myself, and so she's telling me the conversation between herself and the client. And I was like, okay, yeah, I did hear your conversation, and I can tell from the way you've been treating me that you do not like black people, you dislike them, and I do not understand why you dislike us. You don't know us. We haven't done nothing to you, so I do not understand where the dislike comes from. And so she started saying, oh, I don't dislike black people. It's just that I'm so stressed. I just got separated from my husband, and my son is also disabled, and I'm dealing with his disability. I'm his full-time carer. And then I was like, I told her, right, I understand you have issues, you have problems, but you know we all have our own problems, and we do not bring our problems to work. So when you bring your problems to work and put them on me, that's very unfair. And I told her, for your information, we do not come here begging. We come here and work. We are educated. We are not that poor as you think. I told her we pay for our own air ticket as black people. I told her most of the Kenyans you'll meet here in Australia or Adelaide, they are learned. We have masters. I had to lie that I have 2 masters. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you're this learned. I didn't know you were so blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that is not the point. The point is that we are all humans. You have to treat me right. Anyway, that's the story of my life, and I've got so many other stories that I would give you, but for the purpose of this video, I was trying to say this discrimination. So when you're very new, be aware. You will find this, you will get this, whether it's from your fellow staff or whether it is from the clients that you'll be working with. People will just discriminate you because for whatever reasons they have in their head. But anyway, just make sure, just try. What I have learned is sometimes I just think, okay, it is not my problem that you dislike my color. It is not my problem that you dislike my accent or the way I pronounce words. That's your own problem. So it doesn't really bother me. However, sometimes it can get into your nerve. For example, this one time I was working in this job, and it was entailing more of doing reports and writing so many reports. And so I would write these reports, and there's this co-worker that would want to go through my reports all the time and do paraphrasing and change words on my reports. Anyway, she was the staff was senior, so I was a junior staff, and so I was kind of answerable to the lady, and she would keep asking me, where did you learn your English? Did you learn your English here? And I was like, no, we've always learned English since I was young, and English is not my first language. And I told her, you know what, I can speak like 3-4 languages. Therefore, it has taken me a lot of time to learn even English. So and again, I don't think I'm so bad in English. My dad has always been a teacher, and actually an English teacher, a literature teacher. And we, myself and my siblings, we have a pretty, not that bad English. Actually, my siblings have better English than me, I know. But mine, I can't say I have the worst of English. Anyway, but I don't care what these people say here, especially the Australians. Some of them, they will just tell you into your face, oh, I don't understand. They'll be like, what did you say? When you say church, so from Kenya we say church, and they'll be like, what's church? Oh, they want you to say church. I don't even know if I said it right. So one time I was talking to this co-worker, and I was saying, oh, I set my alarm, and then I switched my alarm off, and then he was asking me, what is alarm? What is that? I said, the way you set the clock, and then it says, and I had to explain how. And he was like, no, you don't say alarm, you say alarm. See? Alarm and alarm, they sound, you can understand what I'm saying. But then because he wanted to show me that he could not understand me, so he had to really emphasize that I said it wrong, which is okay. Sometimes you get help from people when they correct you, but in a good way. If they do it in the right way, that's fine. Another thing that you might experience is discrimination, even So you might get discrimination at school, at workplace. You might, especially at workplace, they will, when you're very new, normally you do not know what you're supposed to do. When you're very new, let's say for example, as a mother, when I was a very new mother, I did not know what to do. Well, I know theory, but I've never taken care of a baby. And you're very careful, you keep asking questions. Sometimes you ask these people at work questions and they don't like you asking so many questions. But then you wonder, where are you going to learn this if they don't explain to you what you're supposed to do? Now, if you don't do what is expected of you, they'll start saying, oh, you're lazy, you're incompetent, they don't understand how you got the certificate, they don't understand how you got the job, and they will make your life miserable. But this is what I have learned. Speak out. Tell them, it's your first time at on the floor working. It's your first time doing whatever job it is. Whether you've had experience, let's say from overseas, it might be different from what you come and find in Australia. They work. What you're supposed to do might not necessarily be the same. So just speak out. Tell them it's your first time. You need a bit of time. Let them not bully you. To be honest, some of us we've been here a long time, we've been bullied. We have not learned how to speak for ourselves, especially Kenyans. Let me speak for Kenyans. Kenyans, we have we have this tendency of just keeping quiet. People will harass us. They will start walking on our heads. And at times, even other immigrants. Have you met those immigrants that feel that they are better immigrants than you? Because I have met them. And sometimes these immigrants, forgive me, they have the worst of English. If you know, you know. If you don't, that's fine. They will act like they are the better immigrants than you. We are all immigrants. And even for the Aussies, we are still human beings. We need to be treated with decency. We need to be treated with respect. Tell me, if you don't want to show me what to do, pass me to the manager, pass me to the supervisor. Don't create a lot of problems for me. Because look, when you're employed, sometimes you have little skills. Because the theory doesn't mean that you know what is supposed to be done on the floor. Let's be clear on this. Theory doesn't really mean it's the same thing on the floor. And then again, you can know the theory, but you don't know how to do it in action. So you need a bit of guidance. And sometimes this is where people fail. They don't want to guide you. They start complaining immediately. They realize you don't know what you're supposed to do. Instead of them showing you and taking you through step to step and telling you this is how they do it. Because this is the question I ask myself all the time. Everyone has had their new day at their job. And I keep asking people, do you remember your first day at work? Were you competent? Were you very sharp? Were you very confident? And the answer is always no. So don't give someone else stress while you yourself, you had a smooth time, maybe or probably. And either way, if you had a rough time, if someone mistreated you on your first day, do not do it on someone else. It doesn't sit well. So just be aware. You will find this at work, at school, but learn to speak up. My fellow Kenyans, speak up. Myself, I've just learned to speak up the other day. I'm telling you, I've always been a quiet person. I talk a lot, but when you at work, when I feel like something is going to escalate, I sometimes I prefer to just not act on it. I just keep quiet, and then the other party will think, okay, she's a coward. However, not all the fights are supposed to be fought. Sometimes you just analyze the fight and you're like, okay, this one is not worth my time. But if something is worth your time, something is going to cost you if you don't act, please do not wait to be fired. I have been fired before, and guess what? I did not speak up for myself. I was terminated with no explanation. And I remember a friend of mine then telling me, and I think if you watch this video, you'll remember. This guy told me, let us go and fight for this. They cannot terminate you without a reason. I was like, no, I can't do this. And these guys, I was doing cleaning, and these guys, they just fired me, and they didn't pay me a bunch of dollars. I think they didn't pay me for like $900. I think it was $900. And this guy was like, no, we have to fight for this money. You have worked for this money. But I was so scared. I was like, okay, what about if I start fighting with these people? These people have money. These people, they are well connected. I'm just nothing. I'm a student. And sometimes you just look at your situation. When you're on a student visa, you don't have, you just have that, you're scared for yourself. You don't know what you can say. You don't know what is right to do. But I would say this: speak for yourself. This country, the government will listen to you. People will listen to you. Just speak up. Go to the union. Be a member of a union. If you're doing a carer job, be a member of a union. They will speak for you. But do not keep quiet, especially when people are mistreating you, when people are looking down on you, when people mistreat you and mistreatment is quite broad. Sometimes people will just mistreat you, take your shifts away. Some people will exchange your shifts without even asking you, because you cannot just plan for me. We have issues going on in our lives. We have families, and you cannot wake up and decide that you're giving me a shift today and today was my day off. No, you cannot. So speak up for yourself. Otherwise, no one is going to speak up for you. Okay. These are mostly the challenges that will face you as a student or an international or an immigrant. Will be around discrimination, will be around maybe looking for a job. And of course, I have done another video on how to get a job, or where to get the job. There are certain applications like Seek, Indeed, Jora, that you can look for a job. Sometimes it is a bit difficult when looking for a job, especially because of our names. Let's be honest, our names sometimes will just put us on the bad side of getting a job. However, I'm so lucky. I'm so happy that there's so much job vacancies currently. So if you're moving, especially after COVID, there's so many jobs, and it is very easy to get a job at the moment. However, some people will just discriminate you from your just looking at your name, and they just doubt you, and sometimes you're the best candidate. So just be aware that might be a challenge. However, with time you will definitely get a job. Something else that you might experience maybe is, as the same with discrimination, even at the shops, you get discriminated against, maybe at the parks. Yeah, you walk in the park and people let's say, for example, you're walking this way and someone else is coming this way. When they see you, they want to run to the bush. They are going close to the bush because I don't know why, just because they've seen you. So you might feel awkward sometimes, but yeah, do not really give it, do not stress. Everything will be fine. But the best and the best advice I can give you is speak up for yourself. in whatever situation, try and speak up for yourself. However, if the situation does not call you to speak up, just as long as it won't affect your job or your reputation or your association with other people, just let it go. Anyway, guys, so I have talked about these challenges. The challenges have been all about discrimination. And of course, I'm sure there are other challenges that we might be facing. And also, I think challenges around association with other people, social networks. Sometimes it's a bit hard for us when, especially as an immigrant, when you're very new here, it's hard for you to really get social groups around because everyone is busy. And especially when you come from a country like Kenya, where we are close to each other all the time. We are close to our neighbors. We talk to our neighbors. We chat with our neighbors. We go to the neighbors and eat dinner, and no one questions that. Here, when you get here, you might become lonely. So that's another challenge. Remember, you might really get lonely until you get your social group. And again, even the social group, you might not be meeting every day. However, you might consider maybe keeping in touch with people on phone, on Facebook, on internet, on TikTok, on social media, because this country can get really lonely. And that's how people get depressed, because you get here and you do not have anyone to talk to. You're stressed at work, you're stressed at school, and you do not have anyone to air out your problems, or maybe to talk to. So one thing I found very effective is sometimes just going for therapies, because let me tell you, to be honest, in this country, the loneliness just eats you up. And sometimes it's just, especially if you're a student, you get, I think, a few sessions of counseling for free in your schools. And sometimes it's good to just go and talk to someone. Yeah, just an anonymous person. Maybe talk to them about your fears, talk to them about your challenges. They might not really help you, and sometimes they might even help you, because if, for example, you don't have food, they will connect you to these community groups that give food, free relief food to people who do not have food. And I've seen people collect this food from the community centers, and I have collected as well at one point. So if you do not have food, you do not have toiletries, sometimes they even give you the toiletries, tissues, they give you soaps, they give you also all manner of things in those community centers. So speak out, try and see someone you can talk to, try and look for a church that, especially if you're from Kenya, for example, I'm sorry for using Kenya. So I found it's very important and it's very effective if you get a church, a gathering where Kenyans go, most of them, right? Because sometimes you go to other churches, and I'm not saying it's bad, but then you find people really connect with their own people. And yeah, so I find it very effective if you try and go to a church where you find your people. And sometimes, again, it's not necessarily that your people will help you or your people will maybe really interact with you. So just find a church where your heart feels at home and where you feel appreciated, where you feel welcomed. That's the important thing, I think. Yeah. So just keep in mind that being here, you're far from home and you might feel lonely, and just try and find a way to be busy. Avoid being idle, because when you're idle, that's when we get depressed. Sometimes it's a lot of things that bring us into depression. And to be honest, mental health is a big thing in this country, in Australia, and sometimes it has even caught international students. And it is that point where when I think about it, I'm like, okay, we need to be vigilant. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to speak more. We need to associate with people because yeah, mental health is a big thing here. And probably all of us have been at that rock bottom. I remember I've shared my story about mental health when I was pregnant, and yeah, it was tough. It was tough, and I thank God because I went for therapy and it was very effective. So please, if you feel like you are getting to the rock bottom, please speak to people. Please, maybe go to therapy. Sometimes it's hard for us to share with our friends because sometimes we feel like, okay, they are going to spread it all over, and that is very common with human beings. We are all human, and sometimes we do not know how to keep quiet with the stories that we are given. So that is why I preferred to go for a counselor who did not know me. Well, he knew me because he was my lecturer, but I did not think he would go spreading, because of course they have confidentiality and they are professional. So yes, take care of yourselves, guys, and I hope that you like this video from the beginning to the end. The video has ended up being a long one. I did not plan it to be this long. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video from the beginning to the end. Leave a comment on the comment section. Like this video, please like it and share it with your friends. If you have not subscribed, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye bye.